What's up, everybody? It's Dominic, and do another live very quick. As you can see, I got some new glasses. I am, in fact, a blind motherfucker. I typically wear contacts, but I just needed to give my eyes a rest. I was wearing contacts 24/7, 365, literally, since I broke my last pair of glasses. So I'm just giving my eyes a rest, I got some new glasses. And so lately, most of these lives so far have been about sports, have been a little bit about, racial things, but that's not all these are going to be about. Like I said, I'm going to, cover, different topics that, pique my interest. And two of the things I'm very passionate about in this life are A, music, and B, cannabis. So I'm actually going to dive into that a little bit on this live. Take my first ever on-air bong hit. Nice. What's up, everybody? Now I'm awake. That's just some mediocre Bubba Kush I got right now. I got it at a good price. And, quarantine. Probably smoking a little more than I normally do. So I was going a little bit for quantity over quality. But I got some nice, dabs in the house if I'm wanting something tasty. This is just kind of some filler bud, but it does the trick right now. What up, Nolan? So just kind of wanted to touch on cannabis a little bit. I will have certain episodes where I'm smoking, or I may even break down my favorite strains or just trends I see in the cannabis industry. That is going to be one of the topics covered in this podcast. But also music, man. I fucking love music. Who doesn't, right? I mean, I'm not unique in liking music, but I definitely want music to be a part of what this, podcast live is about. Eventually, sprinkled in here and there, just as much as sports and other things. Music, super important to me. One of my favorite topics to discuss. I can't do a long one right now. I'm just going to do a real quick one. I'll get you on here another time, though. We can chop on some conspiracy shit. I know you like to get on that tip. But I can't this time around. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna hop into. So I'm gonna break down some of my favorite albums, and then what I think are the best rappers. I also want to say that this is gonna be specifically talking about hip hop. I do love a lot of other genres of music. I'm not one of those guys that only listens to hip hop. I mean, that is a majority. That's kind of my go-to. But man, I love me some super old school soul and old R&B, and I listen to a lot of reggae, and I even listen to old blues music. Got a couple of country songs I like. That's a short list, but they make the list. I got some rock and roll songs I like, so I'm not one of those guys that only listens to hip hop. But for this episode, that's what I'm gonna be talking about: is my favorite rap albums and my favorite rappers of all time. I'm gonna hop right into it. So these are my favorite albums of all time. Not best. Differentiate those two things. My favorite. Everybody has different favorites. I'm not saying the best. All these are albums that came out in my lifetime, so I'm not going to really be debating some really old shit like Run DMC. I'm sure they had great iconic albums, but they're not going to make my list. Much respect for those guys. Got all respect for, the old heads, the OGs, the founders. No knocking. And I don't really like the super young cats either. I'm kind of in that medium millennial sweet spot of liking kind of rappers in their 30s, I guess we could say. And man, honestly, I'm already noticing a huge flaw, man. I fucking left J. Cole off my album list. Major mistake there, but somebody was going to get left off, right? There's so many great albums, great music. But so my number one best hip hop, not best, let me correct myself. My favorite hip hop album of all time. Can't nobody tell me shit on this one. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's generational or what, but the Carter 3 by Weezy. My favorite hip hop album of all time. So many bangers, so many classics. It just I don't know if you were like, obviously we were all around when that came out. Like that motherfucker hit differently. Like when that hit, like I mean that's all there was. If you was bumping something else, I mean you just was doing it wrong. So Carter 3 by Lil Wayne. Honestly, I almost put Carter 2 by Lil Wayne right there. I mean, I feel like you could argue that like rap lyrics and just like, I don't know, you could argue Carter 2 is better than Carter 3, but Carter 3 is just so iconic and took over the culture and just took over America, I feel like more than Carter 2 did. So that's why I put Carter 3 number 1. Another personal preference, definitely people are gonna, disagree with this list. But I'm going Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City. That one is not so much how it hit society. It did hit society though, but that one hit me. Like, I don't know. I related to that album a lot. Like that album hit me. It came out at a crucial time in my life. I mean, and then not to mention just the lyrical and flow, just mastery, those nasty beats and samples. Good Kid, Mad City definitely got to be number 2 for me. This one, I had to rearrange this order a little bit. I felt like it would be blasphemy and hypocritical of me to not put Victory Lap by Nipsey next. I had it at 5. That was just too low for me. Anybody knows me knows how I feel about Nipsey. I got the All Money In logo tatted. So, I mean, I'm a big Nipsey fan, so I couldn't have him that low. Victory Lap, one of the best albums of all time. I mean, one of those albums, it's legit hard to turn off. Like, in this day and age of singles and YouTube and streaming and Spotify and putting it on shuffle, that's one of those albums that still pays just to listen to in order, front to back. That's rare. That's rare. Most albums nowadays, it's a bunch of singles. And I mean, just because I know so much about Nipsey, I know how it literally spent years. Like some of those songs on there were like 6 years old that he just kept reworking them. Had Diddy help produce a little bit of it. I mean, it's just an iconic album. It sounds classic. Like that album could have came out in any year, and it's like, I don't know. That just sounds like it's just some classic West Coast anthem. Then I'm gonna go. I guess some might argue, it's a mixtape, not an album, but whatever the fuck, project, if you want to call it. Kush and OJ for me, man. I don't know. I feel like anybody that went to high school from anywhere from like 2010 to 2013, like Wiz was the motherfucking man, like voice of our generation. I mean, the weed movement just like came along at the perfect time. I mean, just rock star, iconic. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that like Wiz bar for bar like made a better album than like Nas Illmatic. Like that's not what I'm saying here with this list. It's just like what resonates with me, what impact, what comes to mind. Like I guess I've heard people answer the question like if you were stuck on an album or on an island with 5 albums, what would it be? That's kind of how I'm answering it. Like this is what I listen to. Like you can have your list. This is mine. And then number 5 was hard. I don't know, especially because I'm not even a big of a fan nowadays. But I got, man, in the moment, like, and even in its place in history, and there's so many songs I love on this album. I'm gonna go Kanye Graduation, man. I know that's not even a lot of people's favorite Kanye albums. That's definitely my favorite Kanye album, like by a landslide. And it is my 5th favorite hip-hop album of all time. So there's a lot of close calls on here. Carter 2 was a close call. To Pimp a Butterfly was a close call. I mean, people could argue, in some Eminem albums, I'll never hate on Eminem's talent. There's just like a listenability factor for me that just doesn't quite, like I can't just listen to a whole album full of Eminem. Like, I don't know, so no Eminem, no Jay-Z either. I know those are 2 like Mount Rushmores to some people, or like, that could be hip hop blasphemy. No Nas either. And I listen to all those guys. I'll be real, I'm not the biggest Jay-Z guy. I don't listen to as much Eminem nowadays. I listen to a fuck ton of Nas though. That was the really hard for me to leave Nas off. Really hard for me to leave Mac Miller off. But that's just like, 5 albums. I felt like if I had to listen to 5 hip hop albums for the rest of my life, or if I had to like pick 5 hip hop albums that kind of like summarize my taste in music, that's what I feel like that does the best. And now I'm going to kind of flip the narrative here for artists. So this is kind of going just most prolific, I guess what I would say, prolific. Like this one is not necessarily my personal order. I mean, it kind of is. Like there's some spin on it. It is subjective, but I don't know. I just feel like this list, I feel like the best way to describe this list is just like talent, like flow, bars, like that type of shit. And then also just like prolific, like body of work, longevity definitely factors in. So I'm going to start it off with Lil Wayne. Like I said, that's my GOAT. Like, there was a time I said Tupac was the GOAT. I mean, people can argue album sales, Eminem and Drake, people like that. Some people will call Jay-Z the GOAT. Some people call Nas the GOAT. To me, Lil Wayne's the GOAT. Like, I don't know. It's probably just the age I am, the time I was born, but you ain't about to convince me that Lil Wayne's not the GOAT. I mean, just record sales, lyrics, flow, changing the game, cultural impact. I mean, I'll be real. It's a huge reason I even have my dreads. Like, I don't know, man. Lil Wayne, if you know, you know. Lil Wayne is and was the motherfucking man. Number 2, it's just about pure talent for me. I feel like talent, like bar for bar, flow for flow, album for album, song for song. I feel like Kendrick is the best rapper that ever did it. Like just talent wise. You have a hard time convincing me somebody about to outspit Kendrick. I don't care who you are. To me, Kendrick, as far as like being good at rapping and making good rap songs and rap albums, Kendrick's the GOAT to me. Lil Wayne is just like cultural impact GOAT and like volume GOAT and just like changing the game and just impacting the scene GOAT. But Kendrick rap GOAT, I would probably have to say. Number 3, probably got a lot of people mad that this ain't been said yet, but hey, it's my list, not yours. My podcast, not yours. Tupac's number 3 to me, man. I spent most of my life saying Tupac was the GOAT, just because of like, you're kind of like taught that, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of taught that otherwise is blasphemy, but like, I don't know. The older I get and the more I listen and the bigger my catalog of hip hop in my head and just the more I listen to, the more historical context, all that shit, the more I even learn. It just kind of chinks in the armor, man. Like it's kind of, I don't know, Tupac has been kind of Paul Bunyanized, like larger than life. Like he had his flaws as a rapper, as a person, as a gangster, all that shit. But he's still number 3 on my list. I mean, he is GOAT status for sure. For sure. Definitely 90s GOAT. Definitely better than Biggie. I don't want to hear that bullshit either. Definitely just could have done things a little differently, in my opinion. That would have probably had him higher on my list. But I know he's number 1 on the majority of people's lists. So, I mean, he's obviously a GOAT, a legend. Number 4, like I said, I said earlier about the listenability factor of Eminem to me. Like, quite frankly, he kind of gets a little annoying after a while, but you can't make a best rapper list without having him on it, especially the older Eminem, just unique, iconic, record sales, numbers. I mean, just you name a category, and you really can't knock it. Like I said, I just happen to find his style of slightly there's only so much of it I can listen to at a single time. But, I mean, you're an idiot if you say bad shit about Eminem. I mean, game changer, just iconic, legend, GOAT as well. Number 5, interesting. Definitely gonna be controversial here. A lot went into this one. But I'm going to go number 5, E40. And there's a lot of things going into that. obviously, since moving to the Bay, I understand what he stands for and what he's done just on a whole nother level than I ever did when I was in Oklahoma. So that, I mean, that factors in. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But I mean, body of work. I think that fool has like 27 albums or something, and they're like long albums. They ain't like little short projects. Like some of them albums got 20 songs on it. It's crazy. So just volume. I mean, I think he's been rapping since '88. I mean, I was born in '94, so I mean, just longevity. Still making bangers. Still got so much love in the Bay and nationwide. Still making hits. He just had the hit with Roddy Ricch and Schoolboy. I mean, Ferg, man. I mean, just legend. Like, I just couldn't grasp it. Like, I don't know. A lot of people maybe in Oklahoma or in other states may be saying I'm tripping. Maybe even SoCal people saying I'm tripping. But, like, if you really in the Bay and just hearing, like, just the amount of respect and just GOAT status that he has, just in all over the Bay, too. Not even in just Vallejo or Oakland. I mean, SF, San Jose. I mean, he's just like a larger-than-life kind of mythical, like, epic proportions character here in the Bay Area, and I've dived deeper into his catalog, and then also just, you want to talk about just unique. I mean, just in it. I mean, he's never bit nobody's flow. You know how many old rappers try to make these new auto-tune or Migos flow-ass sounding songs, man? E40 is stuck to his guns, done him, 100% one of one, true original. E40 is going to round up my list at 5. So, like I said, my favorite albums, not best album, but my favorite albums are going to be Carter 3, Good Kid, Mad City, Victory Lap, Cushion OJ, and Graduation. And then just top 5, I guess, let's just say most prolific artist of all time. I'm going to go 1 Lil Wayne, 2 Kendrick, 3 Pac, 4 Eminem, and 5 Fody Wilder. But yeah, I just wanted to have a quick little live real quick about music. About to cook me up some stir fry. You know, I be chefing too. But yeah, man, I just wanted to kind of touch briefly on cannabis, touch briefly on music. You know, I'm going to be doing deeper dives into both of those topics as part of these, you know, future podcasts. You know, thanks for everybody tuning in. You know, feel free to share me on the other social media platforms, you know. Appreciate all the support, you know what I mean? Everybody be safe out there. It's still crazy. But, you know, we gonna come out of this better, bigger, better, stronger, you know. Iron sharpens iron, so don't be a fuck up out there, everybody. Take it easy.